Your ability to help others in an emergency depends on successfully arriving on scene in a timely manner. Fortunately, Utah code allows you to use your lights, siren, and other emergency warning devices to alert other drivers to your presence and purpose. These signals can help you quickly get to the emergency scene. However, this code is not a pass to break traffic laws, but rather an opportunity to use good judgment and due regard to safely and more efficiently arrive at a scene than would otherwise be possible. Utah Code, Title 41, Chapter 6A contains many sections on what constitutes an emergency vehicle, when and how emergency driving may occur, and how regular motorists should legally respond to emergency vehicles. Utah Administrative Code Rule 698-7 provides additional information on emergency vehicle use. First, let's take a look at what defines an emergency. Rule 698-7-3 states an emergency is a situation in which property or human life is in jeopardy and the prompt summoning of aid is essential to the preservation of human life or property. You must be responding to an emergency as it was just defined to exercise special driving privileges. Otherwise, you should follow all regular traffic laws when operating your emergency apparatus. Next, let's take a look at the emergency response vehicles. You will likely respond to an emergency using city, county, or state rescue vehicles. These are publicly owned ambulances, fire engines, and other vehicles marked as emergency vehicles and compliant with emergency light and siren requirements. If you are responding to an emergency in a private vehicle, you and your vehicle must meet the requirements found in Rule 698-7-7. According to Title 41, Chapter 6A, Sections 212 and 1625, you must use emergency warning devices such as lights or sirens when responding to emergencies. The siren should only be used for emergency response. Emergency vehicles are also equipped with horns or other warning devices which can be used as necessary to ensure safe operation. Utah law reserves red and blue lights visible from the front, as well as rotating lights for use as emergency vehicle warning devices. Per Title 41, Chapter 6A, Section 212, with lights and siren in use, you are allowed to perform the following actions. After slowing or stopping as necessary for safe operation, proceed past a red traffic signal or stop sign, exceed maximum speed limits, and disregard regulations governing direction of movement or turning in specified directions. Note that while Utah law permits these actions for emergency response, you must also follow your department's policies when emergency driving. For example, some departments require you to come to a complete stop at a red traffic signal or stop sign, proceeding through only after clearing the intersection. Additionally, you must always act as a reasonably prudent emergency vehicle operator. In other words, you have the duty to drive with regard for the safety of all persons using the roadway, as well as the duty to exercise care to avoid collisions. Finally, let's take a look at how civilian drivers are legally responsible to respond to emergency vehicles. When faced with the immediate approach of an emergency vehicle using lights or sirens, the civilian driver should yield the right-of-way and immediately move to a position parallel and as close as possible to the right-hand edge of the roadway. The driver must also stay clear of any intersections, remain stopped, and may not proceed until the emergency vehicle has passed. After the emergency vehicle has passed, the civilian driver may follow no closer than 500 feet behind an emergency vehicle using lights or sirens. Pedestrians are required to yield the right-of-way to emergency vehicles. Civilian drivers are also required by law to respond in a specific manner to a stopped emergency vehicle. If driving by a stationary emergency vehicle, the civilian driver must reduce his or her speed and provide as much space as possible. If the driver is in the lane adjacent to the emergency vehicle, and if safety and traffic conditions permit, he or she must change lanes into a lane not adjacent to the emergency vehicle. And last of all, the civilian driver may not park within 500 feet of a fire apparatus that has stopped to respond to a fire alarm. Although these laws dictate how civilian drivers should respond, they do not predict how these drivers will respond to your approaching emergency vehicle. Always drive defensively and expect the unexpected. Doing so will help you arrive safely to the emergency scene.